Evening, you're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. We start off today's bulletin with yet another incident that's coming from Jammu and Kashmir. A migrant worker was killed and another injured in Budgam district of Jammu and Kashmir hours after the killing of a bank manager in Gulgam. Now, this comes after a teacher and a bank manager were recently killed. At least 18 people have been killed in Jammu and Kashmir since January, 12 of whom were civilians. Kashmiri pundits in the region have been protesting now and have also threatened to leave their jobs. They've also sought security from the government. In the meantime, according to Deccan Herald, there are around 4,000 migrant workers in the valley who have been employed under the Prime Minister's scheme and are posted in district or municipal town areas. Now, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, in the meantime, led a round of meetings in Delhi on Friday with top officials from the Jammu and Kashmir administration, the Army Chief Security and Intelligence Agencies, and the LG of Jammu and Kashmir. This comes after a meeting with Ajit Doval earlier as well. Now, political parties in Jammu and Kashmir condemned the attack on migrant laborers, saying that there was a total breakdown of law and order in the Union territory. A trigger warning for people who are watching at this point. If you wish to stop watching, you may do so, because the next piece of information that we will be talking about is extremely disturbing. It comes in from Hyderabad. A minor girl who was returning home after a party was gang raped in Hyderabad's Jubilee Hills area last Saturday. Now, the girl's family members grew suspicious after noticing injuries on her neck and registered a complaint. Now, based on that complaint from the girl's father on the 31st of May, the police had initially booked a case under Section 354, which is assault or criminal force on a woman to outrage her modesty of the IPC. They altered the case to Section 376D, which is gang rape, and added Sections 9 and 10 of the POCSO Act following a medical examination of the girl and recording of her statement. According to a report by NDTV, the accused are Class 11 and 12 students and belong to politically influential families. There's been no arrest made so far. Meanwhile, according to a report by Hindustan Times, violence broke out in Uttar Pradesh's Kanpur during a shutdown called by Muslim community against the alleged comments made about Prophet Muhammad by BJP's national spokesperson Nupur Sharma. Now, NDTV has reported that at least 3 cases have been filed against BJP's national spokesperson about her alleged comments that were made during a recent news debate on the Gyanvapi issue. Now, Kanpur Police Commissioner Vijay Singh Meena has said that the situation is now under control. 15 men have been detained after the clashes. Hindustan Times reported that 6 people have been injured in this incident. Videos on social media showed people hurling stones at each other. In the meantime, an update on the COVID situation in the country. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan has written to 5 states, which is Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Telangana, Maharashtra and Karnataka, on the rise in COVID cases. Now, Mr. Rajesh Bhushan has said, and I quote, "There is a need to follow a risk assessment-based approach on the public health responses without losing the gains made so far in the fight against the pandemic. It is essential that the state must maintain a strict watch and take preemptive action if required to control any emerging spread of the infection," end quote. In the meantime, India has reported 4,041 new COVID cases and 10 deaths on Friday, which is the highest since March 11th this year. Also in the news, the Ministry of External Affairs today has responded to a US State Department report released by Secretary of State Antony Blinken, alleging that minority communities in India faced attacks in 2021. Now, calling Blinken's remarks ill-informed, the government has said, and I quote, "It's unfortunate that vote bank politics is being practiced in international relations," end quote. Now, in a statement, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said, and I quote, "We have noted the release of the US State Department 2021 report on international religious freedom and ill-informed comments by senior US officials. It is unfortunate that vote bank politics is being practiced in international relations," end quote. Now, in its report, it alleged that in India, attacks on minority communities, including killings, assaults, and intimidation, continued throughout the year. In the meantime, BJP leader Pushkar Singh Dhami has secured his post as the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand after victory in the Champawat bypoll. Now, he won by 55,000 votes against other candidates. Dhami had lost the election from the Katima seat earlier in the assembly elections, post which the BJP retained him as the chief minister, and he was required to win a bypoll within 6 months. Meanwhile, in Kerala, the Chief Minister has said that his government will not implement the Citizenship Amendment Act in the state. Now, to give you context, the Citizenship Act 2019, which was passed by the Parliament of India on December 2019, is yet to be implemented. It aims to grant citizenship to those members of the Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi, and Christian communities who faced persecution in Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. There were several protests against the act in 2020 across the country. Meanwhile, the hijab row continues in the state of Karnataka. College authorities of government first grade college at Uppinangadi suspended 6 students for a week for wearing a hijab. Now, the 6 students who've been suspended allegedly wore the hijab in the classroom despite repeated attempts by the college authorities to inform them that their conduct was in violation of the state government and High Court's orders. Now, earlier, the Karnataka High Court had upheld the government's decision to ban hijab, saying that it wasn't an essential practice in Islam. Moving on to international news, it is day 100 of the Russia-Ukraine war, and Kremlin spokesperson has said that Russia will continue its military operation in Ukraine until all its goals have been achieved. Now, while addressing Luxembourg's parliament, Ukraine president has in the meantime said that Russia is currently occupying about 20% of Ukraine's territory. In the meantime, according to UNHCR, which is United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, 7 million people have fled Ukraine for other European countries since Russia invaded Ukraine on the 24th of February. One piece of good news before we wrap things up here on this bulletin. This comes in from an Indian origin teen whose name is Harini Logan, who's won the Scripps National Spelling Bee 2022. She's only 13 years old. She received a trophy and a cash prize of $50,000. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. We have put out an explainer on why Sidhu Moosewala, who was shot dead on Sunday evening, was so popular and what really happened in that incident. Do take a look at it and tell us what else you'd like for us to explain, put out on our page as well. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.